So I've mentioned to you recognizing the indicators, and I shared with you how important it is for you to be able to connect those dots in order to recognize a person that is in crisis. First, I'd like to share with you a few terms. Starting off with catalysts. I define catalysts as push factors. Those push factors are things such as loss of a loved one, divorce, termination from their job, separation from their children because of a difficult divorce, garnished wages by the IRS. These are just a few, but not an exhaustive list of things that a person may be going through that could spiral them into the pathway of violence. Next, I'd like you to think about ideology. Ideology is a set of opinions or beliefs of a group or an individual. The ideology that a person believes is typically something that they're passionate about, something that they have adopted the mindset in the belief system connected to that ideology. Next, let's talk about grievances. A real or imagined wrongdoing or perceived injustice against the individual. Grievances are powerful and they move people to action. And in this particular case, if an individual feels that their grievances have not been resolved, it could push them farther down the pathway of violence. It's important to understand grievances in another, and it's also important for that person to be able to resolve those grievances so that they don't take matters into their own hands. Let's talk about the silver lining in the first three stages of catalysts, ideology, and grievances. If we can identify a person in crisis, that person may be on that pathway of violence. If we can understand and connect the dots of catalysts, ideology, and grievances, the resources that we can get for that person are connected to a mental health resource. The fourth stage of mobilization means that that person has self-deployed, that person has accessed some type of weapon system, they've done their target surveillance, and now they're mobilizing to take lives. It's essential that we recognize these connecting points, these factors in identifying people that are on this pathway of violence. Next is recognizing suspicious behavior. This may or may not be exhibited in your colleague, your congregant, your classmate, your individuals that maybe work in the same building near you. But typically when people are in crisis, they display some level of unusual and suspicious behavior, such as maybe their emotional outbursts are inconsistent with how you know them to be. Maybe it's a complete stranger and this person is loitering or hanging out in a place that most people ordinarily would not tend to hang out in that particular location. Those particular examples are what I would say gut instinct. Trust your gut. Always focus in on what your body is telling you, and more importantly, make that phone call to law enforcement. Make that phone call to law enforcement and let the experts determine if this person is a threat or not. And then lastly, recognizing the digital breadcrumbs. By this, what I mean is recognizing how people put their grievances on social media, how people may text, maybe you directly, with provocative language. The digital footprint that a person has tells a complete and entire story about where their state of mind is, where their head is at, where their heart is at, and actually what type of crisis they may be in.